see you there, Luca. That's why I moved you forward. Okay.
Are we live?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Hello, this is Pens of John Paul 2. My name is Alan. I'm the moderator. These are our writers this year. We're starting here with Luca.
Hello.
This is Tyler.
Hey.
This is Ben. And that's Tara. We are missing Abel again this year. This episode.
I think it's about.
Abel. So we will hopefully get him in next week. Today we're going to talk about a few things. The first thing we're going to open up about is we're going to talk about our social media accounts. Our social media accounts are one of the ways that we promote our book, and that's something that should start as soon as you pick up the pen. All right. So, Tyler, you were going to post something on our
Social media.
yeah, it's not Reddit. What's the other one?
Facebook.
No, not Facebook. Twitter. Our Twitter account. So if you could get something out on that, when I get the pictures that were taken of us today, I will do something on a Reddit. Next week, maybe we will have Ben or Tara or Luca take over the Twitter account.
Okay.
But I want at least 2 things a week on there, right? 1, we're going to meet. 2, we've met.
And this is
You know. Other thing is, I do need you all to go on Facebook, so I can invite you to our Facebook page, because that might be very important with what's going on at the school, right? With the possible strikes and that, for us to continue and actually get our book done through that. The other thing is we're recording this for a YouTube channel, and
I subscribed.
oh, you did subscribe.
Yep.
And Luca subscribed, and one of his friends subscribed.
I'll pester my family about it.
getting this call.
You haven't done it yet? Your friend?
Phone doesn't have YouTube.
Oh,
It's usually
yeah. Well, you can do it with your laptop now. Sorry, Luca's just off screen for a minute. He's just getting some information that he'll need for this session. We want to subscribe, because if we're not supporting our channel, how do we expect anybody else to, right?
Yeah.
So you wanna support your channel. We're getting up there in views, and we are reaching some people, and we have to start getting our subscribers down. So one of the things that we haven't been doing, when we do this video at the end, we should be going, please like our video and subscribe, and we haven't done that. So you can put that on me, but you want to start promoting as soon as you start writing. And one of the things we were going to do when we were going to do another book, not this book, is we were going to start some promotion around the school. So instead of doing the wolf tracks like we were doing for Cry Wolf, what we want to do here is we want to make a sign. And it could just be on a piece of paper like this. It doesn't have to be really sharp for this thing to work. We just want to put on, did you see what Darius did? And we want to move it, right? So maybe if we do it and you put it on the music door the first day, okay? And then you come along the next day and you put it somewhere in the cafeteria.
You want to just make it out of cardboard, or?
It could just be a piece of paper like this,
Okay.
right? It doesn't even have to be very distinctive, right? First week we'll just move that around, then we'll change it up. Maybe we'll put some post-it notes around, right? And all we have to do is create some buzz. Did you see what Darian did?
How they have a title and they have like a little caption. You could put that on like the book cover.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
Just down at the bottom, you could have, did you see what
Or
Darren-"
even on the back. You know
Mhm.
how sometimes the things on the back,
Yeah, we could just put like, did you see
you
what
see what
Darius
Darren did at the back of the book, you know, when you start your, but that's a good idea.
Because then it takes what we're posting around the school and puts it into the book.
Yeah. I swear I haven't coughed all day. It's just as soon as I get in front of this video. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is not that as is actually more of a writing thing. Yesterday I came upon a historical irony. And I think it's something that could be valuable to us as writers. What I discovered was that while we vilify Robert E. Lee, right, who fought for the South but actually didn't believe in slavery, we venerate Sherman, William Sherman, who fought for the North but thought all blacks were better off as slaves.
History's written by
Right,
the
yeah.
winners.
So, but as you think about it as a writer, as a character, like, you know, as something that you could use in characterization, you could have heroes that are flawed, that believe something terrible, right? You can have villains who are fighting for a bad cause, who actually believe something, you know, like something good, you know?
They don't have
like,
to be completely evil or completely
Right.
good.
No, I mean,
My
they
dad
always
says all
had,
the time is that they can be a freedom fighter or they can be a terrorist.
Yeah.
It depends on your point of view.
yeah, that's one thing, but what I'm talking about is, if you look at this, Robert E. Lee, okay, he's vilified, he's hero, he's a bad guy, we gotta tear down his statues, right? He fought for the South,
But he has multiple interpretations.
but he literally did not believe in slavery. He did not have slaves, he did not believe in it, right? Now you have the big hero of the Civil War, William Tecumseh Sherman, right? Who basically won the Battle of Atlantic that basically ended the Civil War, even though it went on, but it basically ended the Confederacy. And he believed, and he put it in writing many times, that all African Americans should be slaves, right? So what I'm saying, what I'm talking about is your hero. There's always been heroes that have had tragic flaws, you know, like Othello, right? Or Hamlet, for instance, right? Who are tragically flawed, right? You know, they're too vain, they're too proud. Someone mentioned one earlier, but you know, that's a tragic flaw. But I'm saying when you're doing characters, your antagonist doesn't have to be a terrible person,
I guess it depends on
and
the
your
source.
protagonist can be a totally despicable person, right? Like, think about the kind of dimensions you can get with your characters if they were more like us, full of contradictions. Like more like true life humans that are like contradictory. Like we're just a series of contradictions, right?
Like the quote
No.
bad guy could be like something like Thanos, where he thinks he thinks doing what he does saves everything, but in reality, that
Okay, like,
actually,
so-
yeah, you actually
Yeah.
bring up a good
Yeah.
point that Thanos. I like the Infinity War and Endgame because they made Thanos' character so likable but unlikable because he's the bad guy. That he had character, and he always kind of
You could see why he did what he did.
yeah.
Yeah, no, so like, that's right. Like, you've made your characters more human by making them human, right? Because as human beings, we're not these perfect icons, archetypal, you know,
And then
I'm Thor the mighty, you know what I mean? All virtues, and you know what I mean? Like, I do nothing wrong ever, right? Like, you know what I mean? That's, you know,
Explain.
by making them human, we can get more depth into our characters, right?
It makes for more interesting storylines. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it does
No,
too.
it's-
You know, I mean, it does. Like,
it makes you really question who you're going to side with.
yeah. Now, the one thing I want to talk about today is stereotypes, tropes, and backstories, right? Now, stereotype is usually a widely held but fixed and oversimplified image or idea of a particular type of person or thing, right? And for example, at one time, Scottish people were considered cheap, and people would say things like, a Scottishman can pinch a penny so hard the copper's still in the ground, screams, right? Now, these are negative stereotypes, right? You know, can you think of any stereotypes, other stereotypes that are out there?
Blondes are dumb.
Yeah, okay, like, yeah,
Asians and Germans are efficient.
yeah,
Confirmed
okay.
budgets.
You know, you know what? Like, these are stereotypes, and they're really negative, and they're really not. Yeah, but they don't really add to the humor, right? Like, not really, right? You're not really, and you're not really making a point with them, right? Like, so if you were doing satire, right? Let's say you're doing a hard-hitting and satirical look at your own society or culture, right? You might use cartoonish or caricatures, right, of people that are found in your character, you know, and cultural traits of your, you know what I mean, of your country or your society. That's a little bit different, right? You know, if you're doing like an allegorical tale, you might resort to caricatures, right? So, you know, you might have someone who always misuses their words, right? You may have, your politicians may be a certain type of person, you know what I mean? Like a blowhard, right? You know what I mean? So a caricature is a picture, description, or imitation of a person in which certain striking characteristics are exaggerated in order to create a comic or grotesque effect, right? It's not the same as a stereotype. A stereotype, basically the intent behind a stereotype is meanness, right? Like, you're intending to be insulting. You know what I mean? And you know, I tried to find the least offensive stereotype, but even the one that I found was offensive, right? Like, and they're meant to offend, right? Yeah, we're all very nice.
Another interpretation of that is that all Canadians are just nice and fluffy.
Yeah, like, you know, and that,
I mean, thanks.
as
Have you seen a hockey game?
yeah, yeah, yes, yes.
Let's go.
Oh, please, after you take the puck.
Score all the points.
You know, but we have to be careful to avoid stereotypes that are racist or prejudicial, even when we're writing humor, right? And that nowadays, anything will offend anybody because we are so thin-skinned. I think the problem is we don't say anymore, it's okay to be a healthy individual. You don't have to be a victim. You don't have to, you know, it's okay to be a fully actuated adult human, right?
It's okay to disagree.
And it's okay to disagree, but you know, it doesn't negate, you know, allegorical tales or satire, or, you know, is a legitimate literary form, right? So as long as you are intentionally avoiding the stereotypes, you know, and even if you're creating caricatures, you know, to make a point about, you know, about your society or whatever, and someone gets offended, well, at that point you just say tough, right? Because you're using a legitimate literary form. You're avoiding the ones that are not, you know what I mean, like that are harsh, like the stereotypes. Then what you did was perfectly fine, right? You know what I mean? But you do want to, even with characters, sometimes you know what you get that one ethnic character and they're a stereotype, you know, like maybe even kind of a trope, right? Where you know, they're the token, and you know, they're either a hanger-on, really dumb, and not really, and shout, like they don't really, they're like a piece of paper, right? They don't really have any depth to them as a character, or they might be in a situation that's typical. I think in the horror movies, the next person to die after the blonde was the black, or the black guy was always the first, right? Like, or whatever, right? Which is a trope, but to the point where it's a stereotype, right? You want to avoid that too, because it's unoriginal, and because it has become to the point where it is offensive and stereotype. So, trope is a figurative or metaphorical use of a word or expression. In writing, it is sometimes used to refer to stereotypical situations, such as the girl who goes down in the basement in a horror movie, or when a spy is always married to a or dating a civilian, right? It's kind of a trope, right? But in literature, however, it is a figure of speech involving a turn or change of sense, the use of a word in a sense other than the literal meaning, like metaphors, simile, as well as ironical expressions. And next, if we have time next week, because we have a guest with us, that's another thing. Next week, Lori Flynn is joining us. Excuse me. Lori Flynn wrote a couple of books. Her latest one was The Last Girl to Be Lied To, I think it's called, and it is a very good book. I've started to read it in preparation of her visit, but she is a traditionally published author who's going to come and spend some time with us. So, so we may not get any kind of lesson in that time, but if we do, we're going to talk about metaphors, similes, and ironical expression, okay? The last thing before we get on to our finishing our plot outline is backstories. And the purpose of a backstory for your main character or any of your characters to flesh them out, to add depth and create sympathy with the reader for this character. They work best when they match or add to the storyline. Some examples, like the individual might have been bullied in the past, or she has lost a parent, is looking to connect with them again, or perhaps they're angry and rebelling because of the death of their parent, right? Like, in that. But the other thing about backstories, and we talked about this a couple lessons ago, is you don't want to go on a bunny trail, okay? Weaving all around, tell the big, you know, when he was 3, he stubbed his toe, and then 5, he cut his finger, and, you know, like, he's all traumatized.
So we don't want a biography of the character.
No, like, you don't want, like, not a biography, like, just, like, so as you're going, like say you're going, and Tara's writing away, and all of a sudden it reminds her of that time when she was 6, right? when there was a spider on the end of her pencil.
She can use that.
You could just put it in like that, and she was momentarily, and it might take a paragraph or two or three, but it's not going to go on and on and on, right? Or she might just go into a reverie, right? You know, and then someone says something to her and she comes out of it. So maybe for a page she goes in remembering this thing with the spider, right? And then Ben goes, "Hey Tara, can I borrow your pencil?" And she comes out of it, right? But it can fit in naturally, right? But whatever the backstory is, it's got to fit the overall story, right? So if Tara's fear of spiders or fascination with spiders, whichever it ends up being, does not fit the story, right? You know, it shouldn't be in there. But if this is a version of arachnophobia, that famous horror movie where spiders come out and eat the world, her fascination or fear of spiders would be germane to the story, and you know, it may come up later, right?
So just Chekhov's gun.
Yeah, like the thing is make sure it fits the story.
Or even just the fact that maybe she it goes off and then kind of gets lost in a train of thought could kind of add to the character that they get easily distracted.
I mean, it could be, or it could be just one of those general reveries that we have 1,000 times a day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that we all have, that something reminds us of something. You know, it could be really simple, like when you have them, like it's, you know, someone walks by you in the cafeteria eating something and you go, "I gotta go get some milk tonight." I mean, it could be that simple,
Like
but it could be that you see something and it reminds you of something that happened. And people have them all the time. So it's not hard for, I mean, but if you look at backstories like, was it the Joker? His backstory in this new movie coming up.
Seen that movie, but
I want to see the movie.
Yeah, like, I mean, but his backstory is supposed to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it fits, right? You know, how he became the Joker, right? Now, I don't know, the backstory he had in Gotham is...
He doesn't have one singular backstory, does he?
no, in Gotham it was like...
Sometimes
his parents were... I think his parents were really cruel to him. And then something happened and he kind of went insane and he cut his...
and then some, it was his dad that cut his face and kept the smile onto his face or something.
So, yeah, it was his dad, and then he went nuts and killed his dad and his mom and got into the insane asylum, and then he became the Joker for everybody because he was all insane, and then he was leading the insane people, right? That was his new game, his first game, and he was after Batman, right? But so the abuse and the situation that happened and him getting his smile cut in his face is what drove him insane, and it's his sanity that makes him an arch criminal, right? Like, it fits, right? I don't know what the new backstory is because I haven't seen it. I just know that they're saying that he has quite the backstory. Some people are complaining because they say it makes him a sympathetic.
maybe too sympathetic.
Pretty sure he was mocked and like on television and stuff. He was mocked, and he thought he's a comedian himself.
Yeah. But he's I don't think so. I think this is the thing, right? Like, your characters should be even your villains should be
Well fleshed out.
Yeah, like people should relate to them. Like they should relate to all your characters. You know what I mean? You should try to avoid having hollow characters and archetypal characters, right? Like.
Well, I mean, like, you can mix and match a couple of archetypes, but...
No, you can mix and match, but what I'm saying is, do you remember the old cartoon heroes, like they were, like, the original Conan the Barbarian, you know, all he was a dumb guy with a sword, basically, right? Big, strong, dumb guy with a sword, right? Like, it was the typical backstory. His village got wiped out, and now he's out there to get revenge.
I mean,
surviving from a child. Not really, because there was probably about 400,000 stories like that before it came out. There was even I can't remember. There was a whole series, something of gore. I can't remember what the hero's name was, which was basically a Conan, like there was all kinds of, but people liked them at the time because people like really simple characters, but now we're more sophisticated. We want more sophisticated. I mean, not that they were sophisticated, but people really wanted cowboys and Indians type thing. The cowboy was the 6-shooter and the white hat was the good guy, and he had to fight off the Indians and the guy with the black hat and rescue the rancher's daughter, and everybody lived happily ever after. People like the stories like that, right? Now people would want her to double cross him at the end. You know what I mean? Like, and steal everything and ride off with all the cows. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they want where she was meeting her native lover in the hills, right? Like, you know what I mean? They want all these they want depth, right? Depth of character. But there was a time where what people kind of liked was just simplicity. The good guys always won. The bad guys were obviously the bad guys. You know what I mean? Now we want everybody more sophistication.
Some writers go overboard and it just makes the plot confusing, and you get whose side are the characters actually on in like the bad way.
You can't.
Or they truly working for. It's like, wait,
You
they
can
switched
do that.
sides 5 times.
Yeah, no, you can do that, and it can get ridiculous, but it doesn't mean that your bad guy. It doesn't mean your antagonist can't be someone that is relatable. You know what I mean? That your audience can have sympathy for. I mean, sometimes maybe what you're aiming for is just gray, and you really don't know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, more closer to reality. Now, where we left off was that Darius, we're starting our plotting, by the way. Darius was just Danny, because we were made to switch the name to Danny, as you guys remember, by the guy who never shows up. So Danny and Beth came to visit Darius in the hospital. He's still in the hospital for the next 5 chapters. So he's still, I'm going to leave, I don't want to be here, right? And he's still
Sorry, what chapter are we on again?
31.
Okay.
So we got 10 left to do. This is the broad strokes of what we got. In 35, we have the intervention where Bree brings everybody from the play, from the basketball team, right? To say, yeah, we like you. You're a buddy. Don't leave. Come back to school. 36, he comes back to school. 37 or 38, the play has to happen, right? And I think the day of the play is the first time he gets out of his wheelchair, right? And hobbles on stage with his crutches, right? To do his Judas performance, right? Then 39, he's getting ready for the prom. He picks up Bree, right? This is all stuff we've talked over. And then 40 is when he has his epiphany. Okay.
Last chapter too.
And that's 40. 40 is the last chapter. At the prom, right? And it's when he realizes he couldn't know whether they were going to accept his disability because he never gave him a chance. So, in reality, he was the one not accepting it, not them, right? That's his big epiphany moment, right? So, 31 to 34 is really where, at the hospital, we gotta, I think 34, Bree's gotta be talking to Beth and Danny to sort of set up 35, right?
Okay.
So all we need is 31 to 33, just sort of more of him feeling sorry for himself. Maybe Danny comes the one day. I hate changing names of characters. And I
don't even know how many you were writing this one.
I chose some simple names this year because last year we had a couple of characters and everybody spelled their name differently. And not necessarily like this is my spelling of it. It was like I spelled it this way here, and then this page is spelled this way, and then everybody did that, and then it just was ridiculous to find them all and get them one spelling.
Just something for just a question for that. Do we have like a definitive character roster that you think for Malfunction yet on?
Sorry, it's not up yet, and we have to, but some of the characters I can name. You added a couple, and I don't have them, but Stevie, I think, was one. Excuse me.
Mark and Steve. And
Steve.
They were sort of just to snap Darius out of that. And
Yeah.
I took them away.
Yeah. Little M is one of his friends from. He's his friend from the wood shop. There's Danny, Bree, Beth, Mark, Steve. I think there was a couple others. His mother's name is Colleen. One thing, I don't know if anybody mentioned this, but we did give him an African last name, so we got to consider that his father was black, right? So he's got to be
At least mixed.
he's mixed, right? I mean, I described his skin as mocha, right?
Okay.
That's kind of coffee color.
Yeah.
It's maybe a little darker than Tyler, right? Like, would you say, or?
Yeah, I'd say so. Maybe a lot more, maybe a bit more darker, but
Yeah, not
not
much.
like black coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, like, there's not much. It's like coffee with cream in it, right? Like, and that because we gave him that last name, what was it, Kazamba, which is an African dance, right? So I said, well, if he has an African last name, he's got to have African origin, right? So, I thought I'd bring that up, that he is, he's got to be at least mixed race, because we already determined his mother was white, right? And gave her a nice Irish name of Colleen. So then why not? You know what I mean? It makes him another little interesting thing about him, right? You know? And I just thought the last name, remember I was saying I was looking for a dance for his last name? And it was one that wasn't, like nobody's gonna know the name, like the dance right off, because it's not like the Mamba or something like that that's really well known. And it just happened to be an African, and if we're gonna give him an African name, right? That's how I usually deal with my characters, is I give them
Give them fitting names or?
ethnic last names, you know. I don't use Smith or Jones very often as a last name. I may use, Donaldson, for instance, is like
Joe
a
Jones.
Swedish, yeah, like a Swedish last name. I may use a Polish last name.
Just make sure they're pronounced.
Like a Chinese last name. I cannot guarantee that I pronounce all these names correctly. I used to have to call down to Hawaii, and I tell you, their names are a mouthful, right? And they get really mad if you mispronounce them. But they're all K's and Y's, and you know, and still, like, and they're 20 syllables long, and it's a guarantee you're gonna,
To pronounce them properly.
and that,
IPA. That helps. Oh, it's just like the special characters that they use for when there's a foreign word and then they have in brackets, this is how you pronounce it.
yeah.
So International Phonetics Association.
And it's a phonetics. You can take some time to find the phonetics, but I am so terrible with other languages. And even though I've studied 3 other languages, I am just so terrible. Even with my own French, I have lousy pronunciation, but if someone's seeing it written down, right? They're not hearing it, right? So they're going to, if they're good at pronouncing foreign names, they're going to get them right on, right? But the reality is, if you look at our last names, like we have O'Shea is Irish, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Your last name is,
Rosary.
okay, do you know what that is?
Yeah, it's British and Gaelic.
Bit, yeah. You're,
Catalan.
and that's
And that's, I assume, Spanish.
Spanish, okay. I'm Le Corsaire, which is French,
Cesare.
and that's
Italian.
Italian. So just in here, we don't have one culture here, and Val was telling us that he was Hungarian German,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
and that no. So even though, like, there's 5 of us, or 6 of us, right? What's it, Val? What is it? That's 4, 5, 6, right? No, like we're right across the gamut on even European backgrounds, right? So, like, even European people are going to be from everywhere, right? And then if you, like, you know, if we went into school, which is very ethnically diverse, you know, we have Somalians, we have Syrians, we have Filipino, we have all kinds of Spanish. We got so many. So just if you reached out in any city around the world and just grabbed a handful of people, right, and spelled them out, and those are going to be my characters. They're going to be all kinds of backgrounds, right? And then, well, we're writers. We're giant people. And that we are at times gods.
To our characters, at least.
Yes, to our characters.
Now, whether or not we're malevolent or benevolent depends on our moods.
That's right. That's right. And if the guy we modeled the character after was rude to us, he's in for he's in for a tough time.
Hey, buddy, you ready to go dip? Ready to go for a swim in lava?
Yeah.
And look at him, he's 4'2".
Yeah. Those are going to be my characters. They're going to be all kinds of backgrounds, right? And then, well, we're writers. We're giant people. And that we are at times gods.
To our characters, at least.
Yes, to our characters.
Now, whether or not we're malevolent or benevolent depends on our moods.
That's right. That's right. And if the guy we modeled the character after was rude to us, he's in for he's in for a tough time.
Hey, buddy, you ready to go dip? Ready to go for a swim in lava?
Yeah.
And look at him, he's 4'2".
Yeah. Yeah. So. But so in the 3 chapters that we really haven't worked out, I think at one of them, him and Darius and Danny should be talking, and he should still be talking about not going back and really apologizing to Danny for what happened, and you know what I mean. And then. I guess one should probably focus on his mother, one should focus on Bree, right? Does that sound good? Or
Sounds
anybody
good, yeah.
got anything to add? Anything? I know we thrashed a lot of it out last week. We sort of worked out what was going on with the prom and the play, and we forgot about the play, so I added that in. Because remember, we had him in the play, right? And I think they might wait for him. They'd have his understudy, but they might wait to see if he can actually do it, right? I think they would try. What do you think? If you were in the play and someone got hurt, would you do a lot of play stuff? You do too. What do you think? Would they wait for them if they thought they'd be ready?
It depends on their character, because it's really hard, because you have all the planning, you have the lights booked, and you have people.
Yeah, I mean, but he was doing. We were told Judas was a minor role, right? Excuse me.
Then they'd have his understudy ready, because
And
like they say,
just
the
in
show
case.
must go on.
Yeah,
If-
just in case.
Yeah.
Well, you know
If
what?
you can do it, then great. But if
You know what?
can't,
We are the gods of this book, and,
can make
and
an
we are
exception
going to
this
make
time.
it happen, right? It may not be overly realistic, but
It's probably
I
not.
think it's better for the storyline.
Besides, if anything unexpected happens, just like Judas, what happened? Oh, I just got into a fight.
Yeah, Yeah.
Keep going.
yeah. So, so yeah, I think because he's got to be pretty well, not 100% recovered, because I think he should still have his leg cast and his one arm cast when he goes to the prom, even. You know what I mean? So he's gonna have a funny prom pants where there's partially slit, so it's to fit over his cast, right? And probably only wear one of his suit arms of his suit, right? You know, because you usually do that, right? When you have cast. But I think by then his collarbone should be fairly healed. They actually heal quite quickly. They don't last forever, but whereas broken arm and broken leg takes weeks, right? Yeah, so, but you know what? He might not even have his casts anymore. We're saying prom is in April. And you get hit somewhere around January, February.
I don't think he'd have it anymore.
February. That
It
would
should
be
be
3 or 4 months. He might not have his casts anymore. We can even
Yeah.
time it so he gets his casts off just before the prom. Right?
I mean, we are gods. That's what we're there for. So
We aren't.
He's got that
Suspension of
genetic
disbelief.
quirk that's rare in Africans where he heals in record time, right? But I
Yeah.
think that's more than enough time because that's 4 months. I don't think you go beyond 4 months with a cast. We'll look it up and then we'll cheat if we have to.
I think it's like 6
We'll use what they call
Can't say I had any experience.
poetic license is what they call it when you cheat things.
Oh, I thought it was suspension of disbelief.
Well, suspension of disbelief is what
Suspending disbelief.
all of fiction is, right? You basically start once upon a time, which is basically, I'm going to tell you a story. And then the audience says, I'm going to believe you.
So it's easier to believe unicorns and magic exists, but if a character randomly solves problems like that, then it's hard to believe that.
Yeah,
Because there's no struggle.
yeah. And now you brought some stuff for us.
Oh, of course,
and
yeah.
I think I will get this done. Just to let you know, and I can show you, but all your chapters have been assigned. And we will get the, I will print that out and the plot outline. And right now we have number 1, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 7 done. And by the end of the night, tonight, 9 will be done. So just so you know where we are at. So go ahead. Do you have enough, or is there,
Is this your book?
or just
Yeah,
Wait,
they're
yes.
sort of outlines for me.
okay?
So,
So what's this book for?
oh, it's called Antinomia.
What does that mean?
Oh, it's a philosophical term. You know what an antinomy is? It's sort of where you have two. It's kind of like how we said earlier, where you can have your characters be walking contradictions, where it's two beings that would normally contradict each other.
But in this case, they don't.
Yeah, they have some things in common. It's hard to explain, but antinomia is basically the Latin word for antinomy. And
Yeah.
so
it's basically you can have two states that are contradictory.
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so which is okay, in that
This is less of a plot outline and more of a historical timeline because
no, I
didn't-
can
yeah.
see that. Okay, so where you are, you've got the timeline here, which is good, and very interesting stuff going on here. All right, so basically, this is a war of Mercuric coalition,
Yeah.
or the coalition war, which occurs between the Imperial Union of
Oragos.
Oragos and the Republic of Miracon.
Yeah.
And Miracon's numerous allies, and Antinomia
Antinomia.
focuses on the Imperial Union's perspective, and
Our main characters are Isaac Renan and C.L. Quinn. I'm not sure which one to make. Can you have two protagonists or?
well, you know, you can have like
Never seen
when
one.
when you're doing a big space opera, okay? I don't know. Who likes science fiction here?
Yeah, I do.
You okay?
The kind of
You know when you're doing a really big space opera, like, space opera is a science fiction where you have it's a big war, entire planets, and you might have the crew of, well, yeah, Star Wars in a way, but you might have the crew of the battle cruise or whatever, right? And then you have on the aircraft carrier, or space fighter carrier, or whatever you would call it. You might have a couple of the fighter pilots, and then on the troop carrier somewhere else you might have a couple of characters who are grunts, who go down on the ground pounders, right? So it's a big space opera, and my point here is that you can have multiple characters. Like in Star Wars, you have Han Solo and Chewbacca. You have Luke Skywalker. You have, you know what? You have many, and then they have all those spin-offs, right? I don't know if you've seen any of the fan fiction. Star Trek has a lot of fan fiction where they have new crews of, you know, like they have the Renegades now, which is a fan fiction thing, and its Renegades are on this one kind of pirate ship, you know, with a crew, motley crew of 5 or 6, right? And they're actually being chased by Star Trek guys, right? Starfleet, right? And not the Enterprise, another ship altogether. But Chekhov, Admiral Chekhov, has them secretly doing a mission, covert mission for them, because there's some plot to take over Starfleet. You know what I mean? Like, so you got, at the same time you got that going on, you got like all of the Enterprise stuff going on. Chekhov, when he's the Admiral, is that not Voyager?
No idea.
Or is that Deep Space Nine? I don't know. Anyway, so you got all that going on at the same time. Now, if you made that all into one book, right? All of it into, instead of many books, if you made that all into one book.
Be a big one.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why it's called a space opera. That would be a space opera, because they don't have just one group of characters that you follow through the whole story. You might have 5 or 6 groups of characters that you're following the war right across the entire front, right?
I think the biggest example of like a space opera of that is the Star Wars Legends universe.
Yeah.
It's just the extended universe.
I mean, yeah. And there's Isaac Asimov, you know, and then like those guys have their famous, all the original sci-fi people, you know, writers have their, not that we're doing science fiction, we're
No, I'm just doing a magical story.
and that, and
No excitement.
yeah, you're doing science
I
fiction,
didn't guess kind of like it, but no.
and you're suspense, right? Thriller.
Sometimes.
What is your book?
I haven't started yet. I've been really busy.
All right.
But
well,
she's planning
back
on
next week.
this really knockdown, drag out suspense drama, maybe with a touch of horror. She's gonna create her own genre when she's done. It'll just be called the O'Shea.
Yep.
Or just O'Shea and literature.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Just
back
combine
to
everything into one.
Yeah.
So,
But that looks really good. It looks really interesting. The next step, of course, would be to
actually, against brickwork.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, is this like? Oh, these were
These were, yeah. These
your magic stuff. It wasn't all. I thought. Sorry, I thought this was different copies.
No.
Oh, these are other plot outlines.
Yeah.
Here.
These were sort of, again, it's.
Yeah. No, that's good. Because you know what, you might be able to get a couple books out of this, right? Make it a little.
Oh, this
series.
is all in universal literature for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know you can get, which is always good. Now, I do believe you're gonna go suspense, or what's the other one you like? You like to write suspense and fantasy.
Yep.
Oh, I'm really big on fantasy.
That's all I read.
Yeah, I just came up with a couple of
Yeah, I've
fantasy
been playing
book
in my head
ideas.
this entire time. I'm playing and writing down.
And I got. I had a dream the other night that was really good, and I got. I'm gonna forget it. And I gotta write it down. Like I had, it was a great idea. But I was supposed to scribble it down. If I just scribble like one word in one sentence, like one title in one sentence, or something like that, I can remember the whole thing. But it's been one of those days. I don't know if you guys heard some of our excitement in the school today. Oh, we had people running off the stage and jumping on tables trying to break them. And then we had
That's
all the sinks in one of the boys'
That was
washroom.
probably my
tried to,
lunch.
yes, it was. It was
Yeah,
senior
I-
lunch, and they
I-
tried to the same lunch hour. They tried to unscrew the faucets on one of the all the sinks in one of the bathrooms, and
That's
they messed
smart.
them all up. So it was an exciting day. So I'm a little, but that idea will come back to me, and I'll write
saw
it
you
down.
escorting the boy out through that sidewalk out there.
Oh no, that was just that was
Is that
something
different?
else. Yeah, that wasn't even trouble. That was just one of my pit crew. That I keep in touch with them. Keep reminding them off property. And no. Just keep certain things off property. You know, keep this a safe environment. You know, and if I remind them a couple times a month, it happens. They're actually not the ones that are the problem.
Yeah.
You know.
They
And
go
s-
down there so that they're off property.
You know, sometimes the ones that are a problem are the ones that you think are not the problem kids. You know what I mean? Like, but they're the ones that will think up, let's have a bonfire in the library.
That's great.
You know?
There's no
Yeah.
books in there for anything.
No.
You know, like those are the ones that will come up with the totally
The worst ideas.
worst idea, and it'll happen. Like, you know, like, I don't know why that group, you know, that group are very rambunctious, but they don't do anything that you would say
Normal.
was normally bad, other than the fact that they wrestle around places. You know what I mean? They cut class sometimes, or more like they take their time getting to class,
Yeah.
then cut.
What do I have to
Um,
rush for school? School rush for me.
And that, so like those aren't the ones you would think are going to cause your problem, and that's when, you know, they're playing smash up derby with the tables in the cafeteria, or
That's
whatever crazy thing they come up with.
favorite thing to do. Just jump on all the tables.
And that could end very badly.
Well, you know what? They were so lucky, and they were so obviously trying to break them, because it
could
was
have fallen
the,
back or like smacked their head.
it was the biggest ones. Well, you know what would have happened if the table broke?
It would.
It would have catapulted them, I know, because we were doing something in class, in a class project, and a table wasn't supposed to break, and I was at one end of it, and we were filming because we had this is the first time you had cameras in a school, right? So we were learning how to use them, and we were redoing that old Superman joke, right?
I don't know what that should be.
I'm not telling it because it's not polite.
Oh,
It's not dirty. It's just prejudice now. But we were redoing that old joke where Superman's on top of a building with someone who's not Superman, and he's jumping back and forth. It's just, look, it's so easy. The wind's so strong here, I fly right around this building, right? Why don't you try it? And the guy tries it and he falls. And there's a punchline to it, I'm not saying. So we're doing that part, and I'm on the one desk, he's on the other desk, and he's playing Superman because he's so much bigger. He jumps over, he breaks the table, and I go flying. I go flying through the air like you would believe. I must have went about...
You hit the ground and you broke your neck and you died. That's definitely what happened.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. That was the third time that happened that week, too.
Third time you died in 1 week.
But, no, but I mean, I went flying, so if they would have hit the table, like, because they were running off the stage, and then leaping up and on, and they were the biggest ones.
Well, I'm surprised it didn't break.
Yeah, it was so lucky. But if it would have broke,
And then they
They
would have
would've
all
went
thought it was
flying.
really cool, and then they'd all start doing it, and end up with a bunch of hurt
no,
people.
someone would have ended up, as soon as it broke, someone would have ended up hurt. Because
Yeah.
they would have went flying, not
It
the
wasn't
run
even
right.
necessary
Because,
either.
And the cap is
Surprisingly
so
light.
full, you're
Yeah.
gonna hit someone.
oh yeah, someone would have ended up hurt. And
Probably didn't
I
take-
can't see what else they were trying to do other than break the table, because it
Yeah.
was the biggest ones. It wasn't like, just everybody doing it. It was just the biggest ones. And they were all sitting there filming it, because that's what you do nowadays.
Yep.
And,
Exciting YouTube video of this happening.
If it won't
Like
go
I
viral,
say-
Subscribe.
3 people
Please.
killed.
I want money for not doing anything.
yeah.
real giveaway at the end.
So, let's just, I guess we should wrap up. And how are you? You've already submitted a chapter. How's your chapter going? Guy who withdrew from the. See, look on the video. Ben is totally gone.
Ben, where'd you go?
We disappeared Ben. It was quite the hard trick to do, but he's reappeared.
Oh, would you look at that?
I'll try to finish up the chapter. So,
Okay, you have started one?
yes.
Yeah.
I started.
Okay, you started. That's all we want to know.
I'm planning on starting mine tonight.
Planning tonight.
Yep.
I'm
Tonight
planning on
as well,
starting.
'cause you just
It's
got-
in a plan.
I really couldn't. I didn't have a laptop or anything to write it on, and I
But you got one tonight. There's
got
no
one
excuse.
tonight, so I can start tonight. Which I-
Okay, like this guy's getting a brand new laptop. Let's vote. Everybody here and everybody out there. How bad would it be if he did not start writing tonight?
If this chapter isn't at least,
I mean,
At le-
Abel's already gone. We gotta eliminate someone else.
if there ain't at least 4 lines in that chapter, jump through the camera and say something like,
I'm
"Manage your
unsubscribed.
Yeah,
time." And jump back to the
subscribing.
camera.
there you go.
And yes, subscribe. Let's do it.
So he's
Promoting.
going to promise to get some writing done.
Done.
She's going to be
I'm gonna
right
get
at it
some
tonight.
done.
I'm
Yeah.
a person who can sit down and I can write 50 pages, and as soon as I get back up, I'm never sitting back down again.
Yeah.
Never.
And that, well, you know what? Just
Why I
remember,
don't
you
want
only
stories.
have 50 pages to do or less on this book.
Along with writing the chapters for this book, I'm going to also be writing chapters for my book.
Yeah. So
And your story was.
So
The-
remember, you're doing 4 chapters or 5 chapters each, and that's it. Now, the one thing I was going to say, a bit of a challenge here. If you guys finish your chapters before I finish mine, and I have 15, and I might have 20 if I have to pick up at Bell's.
Yeah.
You guys get a pizza party.
Okay.
Okay.
If I finish my chapters, you guys bring me coffee.
All right. I'll get. You okay with black coffee? Or?
That's fine. I can
So how
find
many
some
chapters
cream.
do we have in total?
You guys got 5. Okay, you guys got
20.
5 each, which is with a bell is 25. If a bell, I don't know what's going on with that boy, but if he is going to continue with that, you guys got 25. But you guys only got 5 each, and I got 50. Right? So, you know, I think it's a bit of a challenge, but I might have 20 if I gotta pick up his. Right?
But like you asked, my book, where at the beginning, a hole opens
Can
up.
we, I think are we finished or no?
I just wanted to say mine.
Okay, go ahead and say your book. I thought you were talking to him.
It's where, in my book, it starts and a hole opens up in the ground. School's closed. No, we don't jump. We cut to our character at home, like looking at this on TV. I'm like, wow, this happened. And then meets up with his other friends, and then they talk about this and how like it's so crazy, it's so cray cray. And then
Okay.
So, all right. So you've got the exposition so far. All right. What do you plan on calling it?
the trench.
Okay, trench. Okay. So, all right. Okay. So what you got started so far is that you've got a unusual event, right? This trench opens up, or the hole opens up by the school. School is canceled for the day.
For like a week.
For a week.
Took down school.
Yeah.
It was in
Oh,
school.
okay,
I
this.
forgot to say that. Sorry.
Okay, so the school has been falls into a sinkhole. Let's call it that. Okay,
I'm not calling it the sinkhole. I'm calling it the trench, but we'll call it the sinkhole.
and that's usually what things fall into, a sinkhole. And school is canceled,
Yeah.
and your main character is watching
Seeing this on TV.
TV. Like maybe gets up in the morning. It's happened kind of
Sees
at
this,
night.
it's like, whoa, I'm glad I was late for school.
Okay,
Something.
yeah. So were there people in the school?
Yes. No. Yes, there were.
Okay, so there's
Some.
people in the school when it happened? Okay, so there was some deaths, so he hadn't even left for school yet. And he catches this news. Did he lose some friends?
Lost two.
Lost 2 of his friends.
And now he has to get them back.
No, that. Actually, not sure. That's a good idea.
And then, so, yeah. So, it sounds like a good start. And that sounds like it's good. It's a good start. You've got a good, what do I want to say? It's a good problem.
So
It's a good problem. A
So
good
good
crisis is what I was looking for.
I forgot to say this too. Sorry. The main thing that is going to be happening is things coming out of this hole.
So you want
Okay.
it to be sort of a supernatural thing.
Supernatural
I
sci-fi.
have a
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, no, and it could be like a,
What is it?
like
since he lost the 2 friends, and well, it is a he, so of
Yeah.
course he'd do this. He'd probably get his friends and try to go like down in the actual hole and like look for them. And then as he
Yes, that's good.
did that, the things could start coming out.
so it could be like a portal, or it could even be like a dimensional rift.
I wish I had paper to write this down.
Or
I can get you
it
some.
could be it could even be the back half of a black hole.
Becomes
Everybody always talks about black holes.
What about the wormhole?
It could be wormhole.
Yeah, it's not
or
really
thing.
time. It's not really time travel. It's more like
Yeah, but I said it could be an interdimensional, right? Interdimensional rift.
I guess.
It could be back half a black hole. What did you say? It could be a.
Wormhole, because that's easier
Wormhole.
to survive from.
Oh, what's the other one?
You
The
could take the
wormhole.
black hole. you
isn't
could
it
take
like this
The
big-
black hole is theorized to maybe be like, oh yeah, you can travel wormholes.
If you
They're
survive.
Like, it's
Yeah, no, but the thing
You're
is,
not
Probably
born
goes
out of
in
atoms.
space.
okay. I'm not talking about the front half of black hole. I'm talking about the back half. Oh, they're talking about the back half of it. So the other side of the
So
black
the white
hole.
hole.
The white hole. No, but you know what I mean?
White.
They say, okay, everything goes in the black hole.
Mhm.
Where does it go?
I think it comes out like
I don't know. But I'm just saying they speculate that all the matter goes into black hole, goes somewhere,
nowhere. That's the big idea. Big thing.
right?
So, seriously.
So but someone mentioned something else about this. Not a wormhole. I kept trying to say. We said an interdimensional rift. We said wormhole, the other side of black hole. But someone said something before that. Anyways, so we got some good. You got a good start. You got some good ideas there, and that. Yeah, even your wormhole was excellent suggestion, and that it could even be, I don't know, some kind of what do you
Just
call
go
it?
back to a TV show I used to watch that like their school is on top. I'm pretty sure they call it the Hellmouth.
Yeah.
There's like a crack in the ground that like demons and stuff could come out from.
or it could even be like
Yeah.
a War of the World situation.
But what-
kind of under the earth and then they come up all of a sudden.
But I was trying to think
guess
of
that was my original.
transporter. Could it be
An evil dude.
a transporter accident?
Ooh, science.
They were trying to do it. Some government agency was trying to do a
Science.
transporter,
And they
this
messed
is
up.
what happened. They messed up,
They mess up
That's
and
why
they
we need to
Stranger
Area
Things.
51.
and this.
Dang, why does everyone keep comparing it to that?
Well, they stormed. Apparently they stormed Area
They
51.
tried to.
They
and
tried.
What,
And I
what
think-
ended up being
died.
was like, no,
40
someone got
people-
arrested.
Oh, I
I
thought
think
someone
40
died.
people showed up. There was supposed to
And
be a
with, like,
million.
There was like
Millions?
100 or something.
Yeah, it was a really small amount. It wasn't.
They
it was
just showed up and ended up just being outside. Someone got arrested because he peed on the front gate. That was a Canadian as well.
Dang it, Canadians! You're ruining our representation.
Are we going
Just
to
a hot
put
one.
this out off camera, or are we just ending it? Or
Well, what we're gonna do? What time is it now?
it is
3:13.
3:31.
3:31. So we've got an hour. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on. I'm gonna finish up the plotting as we discussed. I'm gonna work on chapter 9. You guys are gonna work on your chapters. 2 for Ben. Did you have 5?
5 or 4, I can't exactly remember.
It's gotta be 5. He's done 4.
Alright.
You had 6, right? 6, 7? What did you have?
Oh, chapters wise, yeah, I had 8.
8? 8?
Whatever one he's in a dream,
Okay,
he's
8.
thinking about Jason.
Abel was supposed to do 6, so we'll see what's going on with him because he's not showing up. So he's
yeah,
got
we can revive him.
remind him that he's got to start coming Wednesdays, right?
Thank you.
Unless we want to try has spoken him and eliminate him.
Well, the thing is very important that we are all here next weekend. We have a
Next
guest next Wednesday, next week.
Okay, we said next weekend.
Well, you guys, you gotta come next
Coming
weekend and make me
Saturday, 3:35.
yeah, and make cap. I won't be here, but you guys gotta make me coffee and let me know if I enjoyed it. Next Wednesday, we have a special guest, so it would be really nice if we were all here, right?
Yeah.
And that, so if Abel is still part of this, someone at lunch slap him upside the head. I never said that. But, and remind him that he has to come in, right? He's got to be here, right? Like, and part of this, right?
Actually, it'd be a better idea to tell him at the end of the day, or like somewhere near the end of the day.
Somewhere at the end
So
of
you
the
have
day.
class with him?
This is
I have class with him at the beginning.
This is her book, Last Girl Lied To. It's by Lori Elizabeth Flynn. I am reading it right now. It's very interesting. I would recommend it. She's going to come and talk to us. She has been published with a traditional publisher, so that gives us an opportunity to learn a little bit about traditional publishing versus what we do is indie publishing, right? And that. So, it would be nice if everybody was here for that, okay? Now, we're going to sign off. This is Penza John Paul. Thank you for joining us. Remember to like our video and subscribe to our channel. And everybody have a good night.
See you next time.
Bye.